Hello and welcome to the next Bulblog video garden diary garden walk. It's the 23rd of September and it's 9 degrees. It's sunny, bright blue skies. We've had a lot of rain and wind and weather, but I thought I'd show you what the garden's like at this time of year. Rather even more chaotic in some ways than it usually is, because the autumn's moving in, things are dying back, leaves are falling, both falling and being blasted off the trees by the wind. But there's lots to see. I keep thinking I should always have thought I should have done this video a few days ago or a week ago when these little crocus were looking better, but this is the nature of autumn. These things are subject to getting knocked over or damaged or chewed by the many slugs. But they keep popping up new flowers, so in another few days there'll be more, and I'm waiting for them to open. So these are a mixture of, mostly these in here, Crocus, Crocus, Cochianus, Pulchalis, Speciosus, and hybrids in amongst them. And we'll also see some more of the nudiflorus further around, Venaticus and Speciosus, so that there's lots of interesting crocus that are very easy to grow in most gardens, and they pop up in this little bed here with the beautiful cyclamen coum leaves. Really nice tapestry there with the... I've tried for a long time to keep the oxalis out, but it's... just leave it to grow. But what I like about the crocus is the way they just pop up through other things. So these are riscoias that are going down. Here's the seed head of a racema, and one of the leaves come off the big tree above us here. So a real autumnal scene, and it's a real pleasure for me. The little flowers, they probably will open a bit later. If the sun hits them, they certainly will open. They just need another 1 or 2 degrees in temperature rise for them to open. One of the new plantings, Helenium autumnalis there, and this is another big Helenium. My hope of getting seed off of these, I think, is not going to happen, because it just looks like the heads in our weather anyway. The heads are just going to rot. On the other hand, it may be a cultivar form that won't set seed, so. But these beds will disappear. Just the same, I'm continuing to raise things from seed and plant them out. This is a group of, I split a pot of just the normal primrose, Primula auricula, Primula vulgaris rather. I split a pot of those seedlings and planted them out this week. So I continue to sow and grow, as well as allowing things to self-seed. This is a pot of Doronicum seedlings from this year's seed crop. I tried sowing some as soon as they were ripe and kept some more to sow in December or January. So hopefully I'll be able to overwinter these and grow them on. I did prick a few out just the other week just to try a few different, so I've got a little selection there potted out. It's interesting at this time, every bit of colour is welcome, and for the pollinators as well. The Linarias chopped back so that the seed didn't scatter everywhere, and to limit the seeding, and that encourages new flower spikes to come lower down the stem, so you get the next series of coming up. And this is little highlights I like. Not perfect because they're well chewed, I get in. But some little colchicum coming up right at the base of this Pyrrhus, ancient old Pyrrhus, which is one of the first plants we ever planted here. And round here there's the other autumnal scene, of course, fruits and berries and seed pods here on the podophyllum. As we come round the cobble bed, again it was looking better, but it's the crocus have got a bit bashed overnight and they get chewed, but there will be more. There's plenty more to come because these corms produce a succession. So here's another, I didn't mention this one, we've got Crocus vallicola, and there's another one that was flowering a wee bit ago, and here's vallicola here again. A white form of speciosus. That's probably speciosus saltzmanii, and here's a lovely little combination of the autumn flowers. So we've got the two forms of crocus and a cyclamen, hedgerifolium. And up there, one of the other new ones that we just planted, Rebecca. That's doing very well. I like that. It's in shade. It's underneath the big acers, but it does get some sunshine, and it's just doing what I want, bringing some colour and light into this part of the garden at this time of year. So I hope it settles and grows, and always hopeful of seed. Another advantage of letting things seed, we've got these little wild strawberries growing among the paving here, and all for months on end they continue to produce a succession of lovely, tasty, all those small fruits. There's all sorts of little things seeding among the paving slabs, and this is a crocus that seeded there quite a number of years ago. It just has to grow in there because we can't get it out or anything. It's just down below the slabs where its corms will expand out underneath the slabs. And we just keep getting more and more flowers every year. I think last year I counted something like 37 flowers. Started as a single little one, and it gets more. So there's all sorts of interesting things. Some we want and some we don't want growing in the slabs. But over here you could be forgiven for thinking this is a bed of crocus, but it's actually one of the erythronium plunge beds. And the crocus it started with a basket of the Nudiflorus albus orla, and it's seeded and spread. So with a whole heap of different clones of white Nudiflorus. Some of the seedlings came up the purple, usual purpley violet Nudiflorus, and that Colchicum, I have no idea how it got in there, but it's a really beautiful dark stemmed, dark Colchicum. But the crocus are seeding, and of course Nudiflorus runs. It produces little tiny stolons, so it runs about as well as seeding. I've just got to this end here. Is interesting because this is Crocus speciosus and Crocus nudiflorus. So it becomes a stage that it's difficult to walk up the path because there's masses of them flowering in the path as well. And then if we come up here, there's yet more crocus. You think we like crocus, but the autumn crocus do very well with us. In many ways they do better, and certainly seed better than some of the spring crocus. There's a lot more crocus will come in this bed, but it's slightly under a bit more shade. It's bigger, so it doesn't warm up quite. Temperatures are slightly different there, so they'll come. But up in the rock garden we've got colchicums. Similarly, the well-chewed growing among the ruscoias. Crocus just coming up, and these speciosus, I think, and this is more speciosus. Yeah, these are speciosus, flowered the other day, so they've got battered. But it's this lovely juxtaposition as some things are dying off and finishing their lives. Then these autumn crocus and autumn flowering colchicums come up and produce their flowers now. Coming around, here's a nice clump growing up through with a Echinopsis. And I just love these, the way they do it, the way I didn't plant either of those plants. They've seeded themselves around. And it's a weird little aeroplane or something flying overhead at the moment. Don't know what he's doing. But all among the plants as they say goodbye for the season, and the leaves, there's a white Colchicum speciosum. There's white, oh sorry, I'm having to balance and manoeuvre here. There's Cyclamen, Heterofolium. And more crocus. See there again, they come up in clusters. The clusters are when they bulk up, because the corms do bulk up. I'll keep pushing that by accident, sorry, that's a zoom. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Just the way I'm holding this camera. Eucomis bicolour. Which I think I showed you last time. More colchicums in there, but for the moment most of those have gone over, but many of them will put a second flowering up. And if we come around here, you'll see the little Cyclamen hydrifoliums, silverleaf forms, and there's white a lot of Crocus nudiflorus will come up in here as well. But for the most part the garden's in a scene as well, with the leaves going down. It's something that little aeroplane's been sent to annoy me. It's coming round again. Maybe doing a survey or something. Or just a pleasure flight on a Saturday. So the colchicums, they bring colour and light into beds as they start to die down. And who doesn't like the Colchicum speciosum album with those lovely sort of limey, very pale suffused limey green tubes and these goblet flowers that open like a wine glass. Got to watch the paths because there's crocus growing in between the paths. Again, they've just appeared. Some ruscoias still flowering. A real beauty of a plant for this time of year is this Veratrum fimbriatum, an endemic Californian endemic, but despite it coming from California, it's settled in here. We've grown it for several years now, and it grows. It just is a beautiful plant. I don't know if I can get right in and show you this camera will deal with the flowers in close-up. But they've got, you can see why they're fimbriatum. They're very fimbriate, needle, you know, these little thread-like frilled flowers. But what I also love is that, again, it's easier to capture in my other camera perhaps, but the back lighting, the low lighting comes through, lights up the foliage like stained glass, and you get these beautiful scenes. And they only get better as the autumn colours will come in. Other areas are, well, there is some colchicums in there that have been chewed, but these will come up later. Now to this bed up by the pond, it's just coming again. I've decided this year to leave the wee geranium robertianum as a cover. It was a decision. We'll just leave it, and the crocuses are coming up quite happily among it and through it. I will purposely try and zoom here now to Crocus benaticus there, along with some nudiflorus. Oh, there's a lovely Benaticus albus, a white form of Benaticus. Now that's interesting. I think that must have come from seed, because we lost Crocus benaticus years ago and haven't had it for a number of years. And there it is, flowering beautifully. But it's just like, it's not less like a garden than a lot of people would want, because the way we grow things. I'm more interested in it being like nature or a landscape. Round here is, I showed you I think and spoke about the last time, cutting back these rhododendrons. Well, they're hugely successful so far and encouraging. Whether I chop them all back and let it completely regrow, but I'm not sure I'm ready for such a drastic change. I don't know. I'll see. Don't have to rush into it. But even the yellowing foliage, the crisscross of the Jeffersonius, everything's interesting. Up there more Colchicum. So among the chaos and the start of the autumn mess, the clear up that will have to happen, here we have more Crocus nudiflorus, more Colchicum speciosum, his little cyclamen, white cyclamen. And I'm going to head up and finish off in this corner, but I wanted to come and see how we can pick up the Allium wallichi, seeding around here. And earlier in the year I was showing you erythroniums growing in this path. I couldn't walk round this path for erythroniums. Now it's as difficult to walk round because of the alliums. You can see the seed heads of some of the erythroniums there, empty now, having shed their seed. And the erythroniums grow up the wall, as do the alliums. These alliums grow in crevice style. But they are lovely. I do love these. They're not the most showy flower. You have to really notice them, but especially when they get backlit. I sit up and have my breakfast and write at my table up there, and early in the morning there's a backlight comes onto them and highlights them, and it really makes them stand out. But there's Allium wallichi. And so the leaves are starting to turn on the trees, the acers, the pines that I raised and trimmed back a bit recently, then wrote about in this last month's bulb log. And we'll just come, I think, and here's a suitable autumnal scene to come and finish up on, with more colchicums pushing through, the foliage going back, the ferns with backlighting. So that's a view of how the garden is, in amongst the wildness, the chaos. I just see down here just seeds of a peony. This peony woodwardii, Veitchii, subspecies woodwardii if you want. Nice fat seed pods. It's seeds around. I'll actually scatter these seeds because I don't want them growing into the path. So these are just coming off in my hand, so I'll just take them and scatter them somewhere else. And at that, I'll go and do that and leave you. Say thanks for being with me again. I hope you enjoy your autumn. If you don't grow autumn flowering bulbs, think about getting some. Bulbs are coming into garden centres just now, so whether you're planting for autumn or spring, they will add to your garden along with the other plants. So thanks for being with me, and bye for now.